Hello and welcome everybody. This is Denise Cox with Bird's Nest Designs, Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Canada. And today I have a really fun, bright and cheerful Christmas card to share with you, featuring the Decorated with Happiness stamp set and its coordinated decorated pines dies. This is found in the July to December 2022 mini catalog. You can also find it through my online store, createwithbirdsnest.ca. And this is the stamp set that I am featuring in my In Color Club this month. So the color we're featuring is Parakeet Party, which is this bright, fabulous green. So much fun. And I've paired it with a really bright, polished pink to create this cheerful Christmas card. So let's get started. Let's show you how easy it is to create this card. So if you're in my In Color Club, you're gonna already have your kit, just as I'm showing you here, prepared for you. If not, then I'll give you the measurements as we go. They'll also be in the description of the video. So if you miss them, don't worry, just check out that description and the whole list of supplies used and the measurements will be there for you. So first things first, we're going to start with a Parakeet Party card base, and this just measures 8.5 by 5.5, and we've scored it at 4.25. So essentially, when you create your card bases, you take your regular 8.5 by 11 cardstock and you chop it in half, and then you score it in half, and there you've got your card base. So we're going to fold it in half on that score line, bump to the inside to get a nice crisp fold, and then we're going to use our bone folder. Give it a nice crisp edge. Step number one, after we've made the card base, is to take our Parakeet Party and we're going to use these cute little star images. So there's one here, this group of 3, and then there's a single one up here. So what I've done is I've attached both of them to one stamp block, relatively close together. And the reason I've done that is because we are going to just stamp these stars all over the front of our card base. And that's going to give us a really fun background for this Christmas card. So you can stamp all the way around, or you can just do the edges, because as you can see in the card, we've got this big focal middle point, and so you're not going to see them anyway. So I'm just going to go basically around the edges. No rhyme or reason. I'm just stamping, twisting the stamp occasionally to get it to look even more random. Going off onto my scratch paper as well helps to give it that really random look, which is what I'm going for. So there we've got it. There's a little bit of a bare spot there, but I'm not too concerned. We're going to leave it as is. So that is step number one. Then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to set that off to the side for just a moment. I've got this adorable piece of designer series paper, and this is from the Hostess exclusive pack that's in the July to December mini catalog. And this piece measures what does it measure again? 3 by 4.25. So let me just double check that. Yes, 3 by 4.25. And then I've got a piece of polished pink cardstock, and this one measures 3.25 by 4.5. So just a quarter inch larger to give it that nice background. So we'll go ahead and attach the two together. And for that, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. Just look at those. Aren't they adorable too? I know this paper pack is wonderful, and celebrate everything because it's got so many different occasions in it. You could use it all year round. And I'm loving the bright colors. So try and get that centered on there. Perfect. So that's that. That's step number 2. Now, we can go ahead and attach this to our card. So I'm just going to attach it right there in the center. Okay, nice and straight. Trying to keep it with an even border on all 4 edges if possible. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is from these beautiful decorated pines dies. We're going to cut this solid image here out of shaded spruce, And then we're going to cut the more detailed branch image out of Parakeet Party. Now, I've already done that. I didn't want to have to run through my stamp cut and emboss machine on camera because it makes my table a little wobbly. I don't want to make you guys seasick, so I've gone ahead and pre-cut them. Now I'm just poking out all these little doodads that didn't pop out in the die cutting process. No big deal. You can see it's just really easy, just giving them a little poke and out they come. Wonderful. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to attach these. They're not perfect. They don't, they're not exactly the same, but you can see how they sort of go together. And to do that, I'm going to use dimensionals. So for this card, I've got both regular size and the minis. And I'm going to use minis for this one. And I'm just going to find spots on my branch that are a little bit wider so that the dimensional will stick. Now, there's not a lot of options. So what I'm going to do is take and just cut one in half and stick that here. You do not need to cover this whole thing with dimensionals. They're very sticky and they hold it in place with just a few. So don't go crazy. You don't have to go crazy with your dimensionals. I'm just trying to find one more spot. So that's enough for me. We've just got the one here, and the other half over here. I flip it over, I can see a little bit of the white, but not a lot. You can usually just kind of manipulate these a little bit into place so that you're squishing them together. And then we're just going to layer it. Be a little easier to see if you put it on some light colored paper. And then just kind of plop it in place where you want it. I'm not worried at all that these branches are going in different directions. That's not a concern. So now we're going to take and put this one right along the bottom of the card. And we're going to once again use dimensionals. This time we have lots of room, so I'm using just the big guys, putting one behind each little part here. Okay, oop. So that is going to go just down here along the bottom of the card, making sure the branches don't come off the bottom because we want it to fit nicely in an envelope. So there we have our branches all attached. Now, the other thing that I've got here in the kit are two die cut stitched circles. These are from the Stylish Shapes dies, my favorite go-to right now die set. And I've got one in basic black and one in basic white. And let me just give you the dimensions. So if you have these at home and you want to cut them, the black one is the one that is approximately 2 1/8 inch. And the white one is approximately 1 5/8. So if you're wanting to recreate this, those are the dies that I've used. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the sentiment, and I'm going to use for that, I'm going to use my Memento black. It doesn't have to be Memento, so if you have a different black pad that you wanted to use, perhaps your StazOn, that's totally cool. We're going to stamp Boughs of Jolly right in the middle of the circle. Pop it out. And now we're going to assemble our little sentiment feature here. So to do that, I've got a strip here of polished pink. It's 3/4 of an inch wide by 3 1/4 long. And I'm going to use my Banner's Pick-a-Punch and slide this in here. Now you can do this by hand with scissors, but this punch makes it so simple. So I've flipped it over to make sure that it's nicely lined up in there. I'll pop that out. And then I'll do the same on the other end. And a little trick, if you don't want it to take off quite as much as it's going to, that's quite a bit to take off. You can just slide it back and kind of eyeball that it is even and then pop. And so now you've made your banner a little bit longer. So that gets glued to across the center of our black circle. And I am trying to keep it even so that either side, like so. And then we're going to put some adhesive on the back of our circle with our sentiment stamped on it. We're going to center that in the black circle. And there's our sentiment. So now, you guessed it, we're going to put a couple dimensionals. You all know how much I love getting all these beautiful layers on our cards that I create here at Bird's Nest Designs. The more layers, the better. So lots of dimensionals. Now that is just going to go over here, which is why I was not at all concerned about this. They're going to get covered anyway. And I'm making sure my flag doesn't go over the end of the card. Keeping my sentiment and my banners straight. Oh. I find those backings all over my house, stuck to my puppies everywhere. It's crazy. But okay, so there's our card. Now the last thing that we're going to do is add some bling. Now I'm choosing to use the 2021-2023 in color opal rounds because they coordinate beautifully, of course, with the polished pink cardstock, being that these are also polished pink. So I'm gonna use my stamp or my take a pick tool, and I'm going to put one over here, a larger one beside here, and then a smaller one. I like everything to be in odd numbers, especially in threes, 3 being my favorite number. So there is our card. And then of course, I always include in my card kits a 4 by 5 1/4 card insert so that it's nice and clean and easy to write your sentiment to whoever the lucky recipient is of your card. So look at that out of the way. And we just layer that in nice and centered. Just finishes off the card nicely, gives it a nice bright base for your note. And there you go. So there is card number 1 that I'm featuring in my In Color Club this month for August 2022, featuring Parakeet Party. So if you like this card and you like this stamp set, then check out my other 2 videos that will be on my YouTube channel here as well. If you liked today's video, please leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate it. And I love stamping and creating with you. So until next time, have a wonderful day and happy stamping.